This is Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review with your college football Week 13 betting preview. It's rivalry weekend, a ton of huge games on the slate. We're going to break down all of them in rapid fire fashion. And as a special bonus this week, I'm going to have not one, but two play of the week selections. We're going to have a Friday play of the week for the Black Friday college football slate, and one for Saturday as well. So let's get to it. Let's start with Cincinnati taking on Tulsa on Friday's slate. And I'm saying this right now, Cincinnati has packed it in. They've folded the tent. The way they lost last week against Memphis, terrible football on both sides of the ball. They couldn't move the ball on offense with Hayden Moore at quarterback. To be honest, it wouldn't have mattered who was at quarterback for Cincinnati. The offense wasn't moving the ball. The defense could not stop Memphis. They couldn't even stop Memphis when Riley Ferguson got injured and the backup quarterback had to come in for the Tigers. They lose that game last week in blowout fashion. There's a lot of quit I'm seeing from this Cincinnati team. On the flip side, you've got Tulsa continuing to play great football. I mean, Philip Montgomery, I'm a believer in this guy as a head coach, in senior quarterback Dane Evans, in James Flanders and D'Angelo Brewer, a tremendous dual running back combination for this Tulsa team. And this defense is playing better and better each week. A 35-20 win on the road last week against Central Florida. Better and better on that side of the football. Tulsa's never going to be a defensive juggernaut or shut down teams, but they're getting better. We're going to use this game as our play of the week for Friday at the end of this video. We'll get back to it. TCU and Texas. I'll tell you what, if you read anything coming out of Texas's camp right now, you look at these two teams, both 5 wins, both looking for bowl eligibility if they win this football game. But for Texas, it's all about the players and their love for Charlie Strong as far as I'm concerned. Yes, Charlie Strong has not done a great job here at this Texas football team. Likely going to get fired at the end of the season, even though everything you read is that the players love him. They don't want him fired. They threatened to boycott this game if he had been fired prior to the game. It seems a little excessive, but regardless, that's the way the Texas players feel about Charlie Strong. They're going to go out there. They're going to play hard, I think, for him in this game. And you have to question where TCU is at. Like, they had, a chance to clinch bowl eligibility last week at home in Fort Worth, final regular season home game against Oklahoma State, and they don't just lose that game. They're blown off the field on their home turf by the Oklahoma State Cowboys last week. That brings up a red flag for me. A massive disappointment. Kenny Hill, the Texas A&M transfer, has been at quarterback for this TCU team. He's not been good enough. The defense has been shredded by pretty much every single good offense they've played. Shane Buechele's a pretty competent quarterback for Texas. I mean, Texas's offense hasn't been their issue. It's been getting stops, but I do think Shane Buechele, better quarterback, and I think Texas comes to play here. I would look to Texas -3. I think they got a good chance to get a victory in that game. How about Boise State Air Force? Boise State needs to win this game, as well as get a Wyoming loss against New Mexico on Saturday for them to clinch this division here in the Mountain West and go to the Mountain West Championship game. So it'll be a focused football team. They should be able to move the football at will against Air Force. Air Force's defense is not one I trust against better offenses. Brett Rippon in that Broncos offense, Jeremy McNichols at running backs, Thomas Spurbeck at receiver should be able to do whatever they want against Air Force's defense. But on the flip side, Boise State's been run on a little bit. And of course, we know what Air Force is going to do on offense. Triple option offense. They're going to hand the ball off. You got to stay disciplined. And I'll tell you what, Boise State had a ton of problems trying to defend this triple option last year when they played Air Force. I think we see a shootout in that game. We'll look to that one going over the total of 64, Boise State and Air Force. How about the Big Apple Cup matchup, Washington State in Pullman? Winner of this game wins the Pac-12 North, goes to the Pac-12 Championship. Biggest Apple Cup that I ever remember between the Huskies and Cougars. And I think the Cougars are a little bit of a live dog here. I mean, +6 with a Washington State team that has been a great underdog all season long. If you've been backing Washington State and Mike Leach in the underdog role, you've done very well over the last year, 2 seasons in that role with Washington State in this underdog role. Don't be fooled by last week. I know they lost straight up and against the spread to Colorado. Colorado, a great game played. I'm not convinced Washington State was fully geared into that, or fully charged into that game, because that game essentially didn't mean much to Washington State. They still had their goals ahead of them, which was win the Pac-12 North and be in the Pac-12 Championship. Regardless of whether they beat Colorado last week, still would have been able to accomplish that goal. So I wouldn't read too much into that loss. I still think this is a capable team, maybe a little bit of a better matchup here. Washington's secondary and defense is fantastic. They've got their own very good quarterback in Jake Browning. However, Washington, to me, they beat the wins they registered in the Pac-12 early on, Stanford and Oregon. Those wins don't mean anything. Played USC, probably the best team they've played all season long, and that was their one loss. So how good really are the Washington Huskies? We're about to find out. I think Washington could win this game, but I don't know if they're going to win this game by a touchdown or more. I think Luke Falk might actually be the better of these two quarterbacks. He has had a fantastic season for the Cougars. And Washington State's defense is better than it's been in the past, and they're actually trying to run the football a little bit. So you give them credit for that. I think we have a close game. I thought this line should have been closer to a pick'em. We'll go a little bit lean to Washington State there, +6. Texas Tech and Baylor. Disappointing that Baylor's playing Texas Tech, because I think Baylor's a complete bet against team right now, a team that is dead, that has got nothing left in the tank. 3 losses in a row. Bad performance again last week against Kansas State. I don't even think this team gives a shit, to be honest with you, about going to a bowl game at this point in time. So from that standpoint, I think Baylor, to me, can't lay 5.5. Not even maybe with this Baylor team. Now the question is, can you trust Texas Tech? Because Texas Tech, that was embarrassing last week. 66-10 loss at Iowa State. Cliff Kingsbury saying it was the most embarrassed he's ever felt as the head coach. Well, no fucking kidding. I mean, holy goodness, when you lose that kind of a game, I mean, geez, you're expected to be embarrassed. But I think Texas Tech does have some pride. Patrick Mahomes still a capable enough quarterback. And again, an offense that can score points. I don't like laying points with Texas Tech and that awful defense they have, but Baylor to me is unbackable, and I see them laying 5.5 here. No, thank you. I think Texas Tech probably worth a bet in this game. We'll lean to them +5.5, and if this game goes over the total, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, 85.5, it's very high, but you're going to get tons of pace on both sides, bad defenses on both sides, capable offenses on both sides. Should get a chance to that game over the total, but I think the better bet, Texas Tech there, +5.5. Arizona State, Arizona, Territorial Cup. I think one team's coming to play. I think that's Arizona State. Arizona State's trying week in and week out. They played hard in Washington last week, even though they got blown out. Don't forget, they got a touchdown late to get the backdoor cover in that game. This team's playing hard, giving you effort, giving Todd Graham, the head coach, effort. I see none of that from Arizona. None. Zero. They've quit on Rich Rodriguez. They've quit on their season. Just embarrassing efforts week in and week out from Arizona. I think Arizona State -3 is cheap. I think they get the win. I look for the Sun Devils to take care of business against a completely abysmal and completely flatlining Arizona Wildcats team who have been just blown out on a weekly basis. Hell, Oregon State blew this team out. I think Arizona State -3 is very cheap. They get the win there in that one. All right, let's move on to Saturday. And see what we can uncover. How about Michigan State, Penn State? I'm not laying 12.5 with Penn State. I know they need the game. Obviously, a lot to play for. They can still win their division, still an outside chance at the college football playoff. But they've got offensive line injuries, big-time offensive line injuries. Didn't show up against Rutgers because Rutgers is an embarrassment to the Big Ten this season. But it may show up here against this Michigan State team. And Michigan State, how good have they been as an underdog? Not just this season, but in the Mark D'Antonio era. They have been absolutely spectacular when they've been catching points. Look what they did against Michigan. Covered that game wire to wire. Took Ohio State down to the wire last week in East Lansing. This Michigan State team continues to fight week in and week out. Only way I could bet this game is to look at the Spartans as the double-digit underdog in that game. How about Georgia Tech? Georgia. If you've been laying points in this rivalry series between the Yellow Jackets and Bulldogs, you're not doing well. This has been an underdog-dominated series, and I don't trust Georgia's offense specifically to win by margin. So for that reason alone, I think Georgia Tech +4 would be my lean here in that game. Iron Bowl, Auburn, Alabama. Auburn's got to be able to run the football to beat teams and compete with teams. That's all there is to it. Their passing game is very erratic. I don't care if it's Sean White or Jeremy Johnson at quarterback. Gus Malzahn hasn't announced who it's going to be yet, but I don't care who it is. As far as I'm concerned, their quarterback play is not good enough. They have to run the football, and it's hard to run against Alabama. They've been fantastic. They shut down the run every single week. Look what they did to LSU. LSU couldn't run the football at all against them with their vaunted ground attack with Leonard Fournette and Darius Geis. Alabama shut that down completely. Of course, the better quarterback, Jalen Hurts, the freshman, who's been very good for Alabama all season long. I know it's a rivalry game. I'm not really in love with laying 17 and a half, and I'm not going to, but it's hard for me to endorse Auburn. I just don't know if they're going to be able to run the football, and if they can't run the football in this game, they're not going to be able to hang for 4 quarters, as far as I'm concerned, against this Alabama team. You know, Kentucky, Louisville, next game up. Tempted to take the points with Kentucky. That's a lot of points. Who knows where Louisville's headspace is after just that embarrassment against Houston last Thursday night, which pretty much knocked them out of the college football playoff, or at least close to it. You know, I know Lamar Jackson and this Louisville team, they need a rebound performance, but you know, are they going to get it and win by 4 touchdowns? The problem is Kentucky's defense completely outmatched and overmanned on a weekly basis. I don't know where they get the stops. Kind of understand why people bet that total up from 69 to 74. Probably will have points scored in that game. Civil War. Next game, Oregon State. I know Oregon got a nice win, upset win out of nowhere, really, on the road in Utah. Great win for Oregon, but can they follow it up? It's been a disappointing season, and I like what I'm seeing from Oregon State. I still think they're a better defense than Oregon. They're catching points at home. You know Oregon State's going to really want this one. They've been dominated by Oregon in recent years in this rivalry, Civil War rivalry. I think Oregon State +3 is my lean there in that game. Utah, Colorado. Colorado obviously needs to win this game to clinch the Pac-12 South and be in the Pac-12 championship. All they have to do is win the game, though. They don't have to win the game by more than 10 points, which they're going to have to do here to cash a ticket. Leery of laying the 10 with Colorado because does pressure get to them a little bit? You know, they're not used to being in this kind of position. Sefo Lufau and that team, very good on offense. Philip Lindsay, the running back, good defense, good win against Washington State. But did they feel the pressure a little bit here? That would be my concern. And Utah's been a great underdog, especially in these big step-up games. They covered the number as dogs against Washington, you remember, when they lost by only a touchdown as underdogs in this similar price range. So maybe Utah does have some point spread value. I'm not going to go against Colorado because they've been so good against the number, but I just think it's a few too many points to lay with them here in this spot. Let's see, Navy SMU. I only bring this game up because Navy's been an over machine. SMU has been awful against the run. Navy should be able to score points at will. SMU should be able to counter and score points with their passing attack, which has gotten better. Ben Hicks, the freshman quarterback, has improved as the season's gone on. So I think we get points scored there. Would look over the total in that one. Florida State. You got to question if Florida's motivation is where it needs to be for this game. Like Florida, you know, with that win last week against LSU, physical football game, down to the wire. Goal line stand to win the game, clinching their spot in the SEC championship game with that win and the SEC East title. Do they go all out here against Florida State? I'm not so sure, and they're banged up, especially on defense, got injuries. Now Austin Appleby here against this Florida State team. Do you trust him to make plays in the passing game? Not sure I do, and I really give Florida State credit for continuing to play hard, and play well. I mean, Boston College and Syracuse, they destroyed both of those teams. They're still playing hard, and I think they're going to want this game. It's a lot of points to lay. I think now that it's north of 7, it's a little tough to lay with Florida State, but I still think I would lean to the Seminoles here, laying the points in that game. Tennessee Vanderbilt, interesting matchup here because Vanderbilt needs to win to clinch bowl eligibility. Tennessee, officially now out of the SEC East title hunt, so a lot disappointing. Well, they can still get to a New Year's Six bowl game, but still overall, when you think about it, disappointing season for Tennessee. And a season where, they thought, national championship or playoff, or at least SEC championship. Now none of those things are happening, and their defense has been awful. I mean, they gave up over 700 yards to Missouri. Are you kidding me? Are you flipping kidding me? Missouri hung 700 yards on this team last week. Just awful defense from Tennessee. That's not a defense I can lay 7.5 with. Now, Vanderbilt's been dominated by Tennessee in recent years. It's a leap of faith, maybe a little bit, to take Vanderbilt, but I'm not laying it with Tennessee 7.5 in this game. Not at all. Ole Miss and Mississippi State, tough from a side perspective. Shea Patterson's certainly shown potential as the Ole Miss quarterback. Nick Fitzgerald getting better, Mississippi State quarterback. Tough to call from a side perspective. I'd probably lean to the Bulldogs if I had to, but I don't trust that defense. You saw what happened last week against Arkansas. Gave up, over 50 points? They're not getting any stops. Over the total probably makes the most sense in that game, 69-69.5. And of course, Michigan State. We'll wrap it up with this game. Or not Michigan and Ohio State, number 2 versus number 3. Basically, this is your first official playoff game, because whoever wins this game is absolutely in the college football playoff, and whoever loses it probably is going to be out of the college football playoff discussion. Wilton Speight, is he going to play? And if he does, how effective is he going to be? And if he doesn't play, can John O'Korn play any better than he did last week against Indiana? He looked terrible. I mean, his passes were inaccurate. He wasn't setting his feet. He wasn't comfortable in the pocket. He did nothing, none, zero in the passing game against Indiana. He's going to have to improve. You just get concerned that if Ohio State gets ahead by a touchdown or more, does Michigan have the quarterback play to bounce back from that? Tough. This is a really tough game. I think the line is in a perfect spot. I mean, you got Ohio State, 6.5, 7 in that range. Tough game as far as I'm concerned from a side perspective. Fascinating game to watch. We know J.T. Barrett and that Ohio State offense is capable, but they're going up against a very good Michigan defense. I think the under probably was the best bet in this game, but it's been just hammered. I mean, it was 51.5. Now it's down to 46, 45.5 in most locations. So maybe still some value on the under, but you've lost a lot of the initial value after that big move and that big surge toward the under earlier in the week. But should be a fascinating game. Great to see the Michigan and Ohio State rivalry once again meaning a lot. And this is probably about as much as it's meant at any point in the last couple of decades. All right, let's wrap it up. It's plays of the week for college football week 13. Our Friday play of the week, we're going to go to Cincinnati, Tulsa. We're going to lay some serious points here. We're going to lay 23 with Tulsa. Minus 23, rotation number 126, Tulsa Golden Hurricane, minus 23 against the Cincinnati Bearcats. Cincinnati's dead. Okay, they've quit. They've quit on their team, quit on the coach, Tommy Tuberville. They're showing no pulse, no signs of life in recent weeks. Their offense is inept. If Tulsa gets up big, they're going to pour it on, and I don't think their defense can stop Tulsa. I think Tulsa can win this game by 4 or more touchdowns. We're going to lay 23 with Tulsa for the Friday play of the week. And for Saturday, let's see. Let's go to... let me just... I've lost my train of thought here for a second. All right, here we go. Let's go to the Florida State game in this one. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one we'll go with. Again, we've lost some line value with this game a little bit. It's disappointing, but even at minus 7.5, this just seems to me like one of those. Okay, let's just get the hell out of here, out of Tallahassee. Let's get ready for the SEC championship game if you're Florida. I think Florida State comes to play in this game, and they are, again, I think they take this game up maybe a little bit more seriously than the Gators do. Florida State minus 7.5, rotation number 206. The Seminoles minus 7.5. Your Saturday college football play of the week. So 2 plays of the week. We're going with Tulsa minus 23 on Friday, and we're going to go with Florida State minus 7.5 on Saturday for college football week 13 action. All right, that'll wrap it up. That is my look at the rivalry weekend in week 13 of college football. I'm Ian Cameron.
Go to SBRodds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.